I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. What's brought all these teenagers together?
I was involved with gangs. They made me do things I didn't want to do, stealing, robbing people.
Is online socializing bringing out the worst in people?
When we deal with people, it's not just a matter of exchanging ideas. It's the confrontation with the whole person.
Tuning in and turning lives around.
I love talking to people and just seeing what God can do in people.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There's been a lot of attention given to online social networking following the death of a British teen who overdosed on painkillers after being the target of hateful messages online. We'll actually have more on that coming up just ahead. But first, we want to have a look at a group of teens who are looking for something more out of life.
Just a little bit more. These young people participate in a program called Youth 2000, something that for many teens has been an eye-opening experience, really. Many of them come from troubled backgrounds, but to find answers, they are turning to God. We sent our cameras to their June retreat in Garnerville, New York, to hear firsthand about their experiences.
The world makes kids feel like outcasts today.
God is present, but it's hard to see sometimes.
I'm in a public school. That's like one of the forbidden things to do. You can't talk about God. You can't have anything associated with God.
Society just wants to cut God completely out of everything, like the whole Xmas thing, and kids have no real guidance to go anywhere if they need help.
Youth 2000 is an international movement where we sponsor Eucharistic retreats for young people. We have the Eucharist set up in the middle of a large gym or an auditorium that becomes a chapel, and the whole weekend is done in front of the Blessed Sacrament except during Mass and the Rosary. We have solid 40-hour devotion brought down to a teenage level.
Before Youth 2000, I was a regular kid on the streets, like trying to look for an answer.
I have grown up with like physical abuse, mental abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse.
I was involved with gangs. They made me do things I didn't want to do, stealing, robbing people. I had to do it or they were going to jump me. I was scared. I thought I was loved. I thought they loved me.
I wasn't happy. I was always lonely. I was always reaching for more. Never could really grasp it because the one that fulfilled me was Jesus.
Youth 2000, they show you that God is present in the world and that, you know, we're made to be children of the light. We're made to be living in the light.
I got involved with Youth 2000 just because I was working with young people in a parish and I brought them to a retreat, and I was so moved by what was happening. I knew that it was something that was going to go on for a long time, and it's something that I needed to be a part of.
I have a lot of friends who think being Catholic is boring. I said, yeah, they could make it a little more interesting for a younger crowd because that's what we need. We need that motivation to draw us in, to pull us in. And that's what Youth 2000's done for me. It pulled me in because I found somewhere I belong and where I can have fun with my faith.
I wasn't really into my faith until 2003 when I actually had a conversion at Youth 2000. It was amazing. I just had so much zeal for the faith, and I just felt so renewed, like a new person. Everything in me was completely renewed.
I remember just praying to God, you know, like I want to be with you, you know, because there has to be more to this life than what it is. And then like for some reason, like I just felt the Lord say to me, like, I am with you and I love you. And then on, I just started crying, and I had to hide up underneath my shirt because I didn't want anybody to see me. And basically all that happened at Youth 2000. So yeah, thanks be to God for that.
And so I ask you.
I learned more about God, and I did my communion, and I got baptized finally.
It actually gave me a reason to pray. My relationship with my parents has improved like astronomically. We sit down for dinner, we talk, we laugh, we joke. Nobody crying at the end of the night.
Like a Youth 2000 is like a home.
I always try to bring back more people because every person that has come with me has had a wonderful experience. It's very, very powerful. It changed my life.
What great kids. Well, the next Youth 2000 retreat will take place September 18th through the 20th in Dix Hills, Long Island. We've posted more information about that on our blog. You can just head over to netny.net/currents and click on Riding the Wave.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
There is much more currents straight ahead. Coming up later, Brooklyn goes on the attack against the swine flu. But first,
you can never be too careful when talking online.
Things can be very misunderstood, and people might respond very angrily to a note that we meant in a very neutral way.
welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Well, if you're about to talk online, you may want to proceed with caution. Words to live by if the Catholic Archbishop of Westminster in England has anything to say about it. In an interview with the British newspaper The Sunday Telegraph, Archbishop Vincent Nichols said that online social networking leads teenagers to build transient relationships, that's what he's calling them, which could lead to suicide. Not a good thing. Nichols says the internet and mobile phones are dehumanizing community life. And his remarks, as you know, follow the recent death of a British teenager who overdosed on painkillers after seeing hateful messages posted about her on Bebo. That's a popular social networking site.
Yeah, just a very tragic story. And with millions of people all over the world communicating online, you know, it's really no surprise that the Archbishop's statements have generated some controversy. In fact, the CEO of Twitter shot right back, saying online social networking has the opposite effect, allowing people to communicate in ways that they otherwise would not be able to. It's all food for thought, and to sort it out, I had a chance yesterday to speak with Father Robert Barron. He is a priest in the Archdiocese of Chicago and the driving force behind Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. That site uses multimedia, and the ministry uses multimedia, including the internet, to evangelize. Father, hello to you.
Hello, thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Now, tell me a little bit first about yourself. I was actually reading your bio, and you know, I came to mind, is there anything this guy doesn't do?
Yeah, I do keep busy. I'm a priest of the Archdiocese of Chicago, and I'm a professor of theology at the seminary outside Chicago, and I'm also the director of Word on Fire Ministries, which is a evangelical Catholic outreach using the media. So I keep my fingers in a lot of pies that way.
Right, I hear you. Well, you use, I guess, social networking in your line of work as well, right?
I use a lot of internet work, and then just very recently we've tried to have some links with things like Facebook, and I think I'm going to begin tweeting shortly, as they say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just started to use some of those social networking outreaches.
As you are probably aware, I'm sure Archbishop Vincent Nichols in his statement about online social networking potentially being dangerous. Of course, there was a story of the young girl who ended up committing suicide after being bullied online. The church, though, as to a great extent, has seemed to really embrace technology. I mean, the Vatican has a Facebook page and those sorts of things. I guess people might say, well, if the Vatican has a Facebook page, it can't be that bad.
I just read Archbishop Nichols' remarks yesterday, and I think they're well taken. I mean, I think he's got a very valid point to make. You know, all things can be abused. And I think the point he's making about a certain suspension of the normal ways of, let's say, social discourse. And he's quite right about that. I think that some of these forms of communication can become so abstract that they actually undermine our capacity to connect with people deeply and in a deeply human way. The same way I think with internet communication and with these social networking things, I think they are dangerous in the measure that they compromise the usual human way of reaching out to someone else. But in themselves, I don't think they're essentially bad. I think they're things that could still be used in a creative way. The Archbishop puts his finger on an important warning, I think a danger involved that we should be aware of. But I wouldn't go so far as to say, therefore, we should drop them.
Right. Not inherently evil, in other words. As far as the bullying aspect of this particular girl's case, I mean, how is bullying online any different from, say, bullying in the playground?
Yeah, I mean, not essentially so. I think the difference might be that in the very impersonal quality of it, there's something almost colder and more off-putting about it. You know, you're not as directly implicated. If you're going to go right up to somebody and face-to-face challenge them, well, it's putting a little more onus on you. I mean, it's a little more emotionally demanding. But, it's because people can be so anonymous. They're hiding behind their computer moniker. They're sending you just these words from out of cyberspace. And so they can be kind of crude and mean-spirited in a way. They probably would never be if they're talking to you face-to-face. So I think that's the great danger, let's say, in online bullying, is there can be a level of meanness that you wouldn't find in the face-to-face variety.
Right. How would you advise folks to use these sorts of technologies in the right way?
I'd recommend people to bend over backwards, to be generous and kind, and to give the benefit of the doubt to the person you're talking to, assume the best intentions. I think that's probably a very wise bit of advice when it comes to using these things. Great.
Now, one final question for you before we wrap up here. What do you think is the future of these types of technologies, Facebook, Twitter, other social networking within the church?
I think, the church can and will use them. St. Paul used whatever technology he had in his time, which was ink and paper and traveling by ship and speaking. And so down through the centuries, we've used whatever available to us. And I tell students at the seminary all the time, get up in any pulpit they give you. If there's a pulpit made available to you, use it. Now, God knows all things can be abused. People can abuse letters. You can communicate pretty mean things through a letter. Letters can be misunderstood. I mean, so this is not a new problem. Right. So I think the church can and should use all these tools as long as we're careful about it, and it's always being done in love and with great sensitivity to the ways they can be abused.
All right. Well, Father Robert Barron, thank you so much for joining us here on Currents today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, very insightful there. That is Father Robert Barron of Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. And I've actually written a blog with more information about his work. Just head on over to netny.net/currents and click on our blog. It's called Riding the Wave.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, it's sort of like what we do here a little bit, but theirs is much better, or
Right.
bigger, I should say. Well, in related news, Twitter and Facebook, both big social networking sites, were victims of a hacker attack this morning. Twitter shut down at around 9 o'clock this morning, causing one public relations manager to say that she felt completely lost. I kind of did too, actually. I couldn't update my status. Facebook said that it was also looking into what happened.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead. You won't feel lost here. Coming up, leaders in Brooklyn band together, and we'll tell you why.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Earlier on in the show, we met a local group helping young people find answers. Well, later on, we'll actually meet another group that's doing the exact same thing, but it's right here on the net. But turn now to today's headlines. Before you know it, the new school year will be underway, and that means germs, including the H1N1 virus, or as it's less formally known, swine flu. The virus resulted in 4 school closings right here in the Brooklyn Diocese alone. And to get a leg up, Catholic Charities co-sponsored a planning event today at Brooklyn Borough Hall.
I have a school with over 400 children in it. I have a parish congregation of 1,500 people, so I want to be prepared to just best serve their needs.
People of all faiths gathered at Brooklyn Borough Hall for the first ever Pandemic Influenza Exercise Conference for area faith leaders. The event was co-sponsored by Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens and organized by the Metropolitan College of New York and the Brooklyn Borough President's Office.
As an agency, we have a presence on all the disaster planning committees that affect Brooklyn and Queens, and we want to make sure that every single person gets the communication about pandemic preparedness. Our people are going to probably get sick, and we need to let them know what to do.
God willing, it's not what they say it could be, but I think it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared.
What happens in one end of Brooklyn affects the other end of Queens.
I think you have to be concerned because there are so many parishes in the diocese, and will we be ready to take care of these people, and how will we be ready?
Despite the serious nature of the discussion, organizers insist they're not stirring up panic.
Today is about starting the flow of communication, letting them know, you know what, we have people that do this all the time.
People are giving resources, places to call to alleviate any fears or anxieties that they have, and this can help the community.
This conference today alleviates a lot of that concern because of the fact that there are many, many resources out there, including Catholic Charities, but many resources that we can all use in order to make sure that the people of the diocese have the best care and prevention.
Catholic Charities USA is working to implement a comprehensive nationwide preparedness strategy. But often, the most effective solutions are not as complicated as you might imagine.
Simple measures like hand washing, coughing into the elbow can protect society.
But wait, shouldn't people of faith trust in a higher power for their protection?
Certainly we trust in God, but God also wants us to be prepared to deal with the situations that come into our lives.
If we can inform them of what is going on, what they can do to prevent the spread, then we are one step ahead of having a major problem.
Well, the Centers for Disease Control have found that the H1N1 virus differs from the seasonal flu in that it actually affects more children and young adults than it does the elderly. In national news, the head of the Youngstown, Ohio diocese says no way to his congressman's abortion bill. Bishop George Murray says the bill proposed by Congressman George Ryan is based on the mistaken belief that greater access to contraception reduces abortion. The bishop pointed out a 2006 study that shows the states that most aggressively promote contraception also have the highest abortion rates. Now, in related news, pro-life advocates are planning a massive rally and campaign for next month in Washington. That is all in the hopes of preventing taxpayer funding of abortion.
Abandoning personal ethics. The head of the U.S. Bishops' Conference says that is what caused the global economic crisis. Cardinal Francis George says an economy that substitutes efficiency for morality will end up both inefficient and immoral. His remarks came at the annual convention of the Catholic fraternal organization, the Knights of Columbus. This year's convention is taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. The Mexican government apologized after it conducted a drug raid in the middle of a mass. In a statement, Mexico's Secretariat of Public Security said it carried out the operation to avoid a violent incident. The August 1st raid resulted in the arrest of 33 people, all alleged to be members of a drug cartel. A closing of democracy in Venezuela, that is what a high-ranking Catholic bishop says is happening after President Hugo Chavez shut down 24 radio stations there. Archbishop Baltazar Porras says Chavez wants to turn the country into a society with only one ruler who has all the rights. Well, stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead.
Coming up, they say video killed the radio star, but not on the net.
The program definitely connects to daily life, to what happens in a normal life.
Well, tonight we've already met one group here in New York that's reaching out to young people, many of them troubled, who are looking for answers. But that is not the only place to turn.
Nope, you don't have to go very far to find our next guest. He's David Bisono, one of the co-hosts of Too Blessed to Be Stressed, which you can see every Thursday night, like tonight, right here on the net. We recently had a chance to sit down with him.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
For stopping by. Well, just to start out, for folks who may not have seen it, what is Too Blessed to Be Stressed?
Well, Too Blessed to Be Stressed is a TV program. It's a radio program turned into a TV program. Mm-hmm. And basically, we have guests who come and speak about their life experiences and what they've been through in life and how God has, I guess, turned their stressing into blessing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. They see opportunity and growth in otherwise hard times, perhaps.
Yes.
How did it get from being a radio show to a TV show?
Well, basically, it's kind of cool. Basically, I have the radio show. It's on the internet, and we have like 20 other stations that connect to it. So we have over 100,000 listeners on the internet. And one of the guys from NET went to one of our events, and they went to the radio station, and they saw the whole, gig, and they're like, "This is cool. We should have this on like NET."
Sure.
And I'm like, "You should.
Right?
You should have it on NET. Let's do this."
You didn't argue at all.
No, not at all. So here we are.
David.
What?
The cameras are here.
Hey, what's up, cameras?
Hi, everybody.
I'm David.
And I'm Jahira.
And we're from
Too Blessed to Be Stressed. And we're now working in our show that premieres in September Our second season, you can't miss it.
And if you missed the first season, I don't know why you would do such a crazy thing. Guess what? You can still catch the whole season.
See you in September.
Please come back and watch us.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, what do you like the most about doing the show?
Well, I love talking to people. I love talking to people and just seeing what God can do in people. I think when we see the transformation process that happens, it gives us hope, and it gives us, that glimpse of God's power and mercy and grace. And I think that when we people see other people changing, and they can say, wow, you know what, I've been going through the same situation, so that means that if he changed or God changed that, then he can definitely do it in my life. So I love that part of it.
Yeah. So you've had one season here on Net so far. Second season coming up. Any changes coming up for the second season?
Well, I had some ideas, but but no, it's good. I really enjoy. I think we're gonna have more. We're trying to have other groups involved as well, other ministries involved. Yeah. So we are gonna see a little different twist this season. So they need to watch, because if not, they're going to miss it, and then they're going to be all sad and sorry about it. So they have to watch it.
Well, tell me about, I know that you have a co-host as well. Tell me a little about her.
Jahaira. Yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, I love her. Yeah, she makes the show look nice, because being alone, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Basically, she keeps me under control, kind of like, like her. See, like the same thing.
Right.
Same thing. You're the one talking. She's there, kind of like, stop it.
Right. Gotta have somebody to keep an eye on.
I love Jahaira because she just keeps an eye on me. She keeps it, moving, in control, and she's just so beautiful. I mean, people see it, they she's awesome.
Tune in.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Tell me a specific example of somebody that you really were astounded by their story, that you think really resonated with other people, listeners and viewers.
Well, we have, I think, 2 or 3 of them. One was, the first was with Jenny. She was a young girl at the age of 5 or 6. Her parents used to force her to pack drugs for them. Yeah. She was sexually molested. She was kidnapped. And if you see her now, she's the director of our dance ministry. She's married, finished college. So it's amazing. We have another girl, her name is Christy. She used to abuse herself, cut herself, bulimia, and now she sings for the Lord. She's a great example of what a woman can be. We have Advelis. She did the program about how the Lord turned her sorrow into a song, and how she writes music for the Lord. And her husband was involved in drugs, and now he's totally free from that. So, those stories, just one of them, a couple of the, it's just amazing to see these women and these young men go through the, this process. And for me to know them and see the before and after is amazing.
It's an honor.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Well, actually, my next question was going to be, how does the show fit in with Net and the new evangelization? And I think you just answered it right there.
Well, I think, whenever I speak to, Chris and the people involved in Net, I've always seen Net as a channel that wants to be not just a program that kind of people can just tune and watch, but that speaks to what they're going through and kind of reaches out to them and becomes part of their daily life. So I think that is perfect, because the program definitely connects to daily life, to the stressings of life, to what happens in a normal life, people that go through struggles and situations, but it reminds them that in the midst of all of their struggles, God is always there and ready to bless them at any time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Too Blessed to Be Stressed right here on Net.
Yeah.
Check out netny.net for more information on it. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, David.
That is David Bisono, one of the co-hosts of Too Blessed to Be Stressed. And you can watch him tonight and every Thursday night right here at 8:30 exclusively on the Net. And definitely a great concept for a show. I was thinking, as he was talking about those individuals that have really stood out to him in the first season of the show, that they've spoken to, that really, you go through kind of what those people have gone through, and you learn to count your blessings, which is like what the name of the show kind of alludes to.
Oh, absolutely. I think that one of the things that he enjoys most about it is the satisfaction that he gets in seeing that sort of a transformation, seeing someone who otherwise has been going through such hard times, because then they can inspire others. Not only is he inspired as a host, but the whole idea is that if you can get through something and you can survive and thrive, then it really can be inspirational to just about anyone.
Right. And I've really enjoyed this too, looking at other shows here on the net, and we looked at Breaking Bread, Ictus EQ, we looked at City of Churches, and now Too Blessed to Be Stressed. It's been a lot of fun. And
well, there's a lot of programming on the net. It's not just Currents. I mean, we have this whole studio here, which is great, but there's a lot of other good stuff.
That's all.
Well, that is all for this edition of Currents, our little show. Tomorrow, the government releases the latest unemployment numbers, and we'll have a look at what some local groups are going to do, or are doing rather, to lend a helping hand in this tough economic climate still.
That and more tomorrow, coming up right here on Currents. And remember, you can always watch us online. We're at netny.net/currents.
And you can also follow us on Twitter, as long as it's not down like it was earlier.
Right, exactly.
The address there is twitter.com/currentsny. Well, thank you for all of us here at Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Have a great night.